you were just saying to me that it is stupidly early on your side of the world.
Well, 600, but for me, if I got up at 6 o'clock, I would think, oh my gosh, I slept in.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's still dark. I see
It's
a window
still
in
dark,
the back
yeah.
there.
Well, of course, they do this ridiculous time change in the
Yes.
United States.
It's stupid. It's so stupid.
It's so stupid. And some states don't do it. So then you have to figure out like what everyone's time zones are. And yeah, and they know that it makes people sick on when they move the clocks back or forward, people get really sick. More deaths happen after the time change.
I was wondering that. Okay, so you think that it's definitely a bad thing health-wise?
Yeah, I do. Yes, we shouldn't be messing around with the time zones and moving times backwards. And the worst one for me is when you spring forward, so you lose an hour. This is not as bad because normally this would be 7 a.m. So I'm wide awake. So I'm just an observer. I grew up on a ranch in the middle of nowhere. So when we would go into the city, I would just stare at people, observing them, because I was so fascinated. I didn't get to see crowds of people. And so I think I have just this, pinpoint observation skill. So I always look at why are men, specifically modern men, going bald? I look at Sikhs. I was in India and all the Sikhs never, ever cut their hair and they have it, swirled up in a turban. They don't usually wash it. So I think, what's going on there? And then it hit me about circumcision and how that's antenna in the root chakra that comes from the crown. And when researching hair is not just some lifeless leftover from our evolution as apes, which is what they tell you. Oh, it's to keep your head warm. No, it's not to keep our head warm. It's antenna. And they've proven this over and over in World War II on government documents. Now Snopes and all the Google is all over it saying it's fake. But I found the government documents that did the experiments with the native trackers. So they, in World War II, would go to reservations and they would go to the elders and say, give us your best trackers. So they would give them their young men that could track the best. They would go into boot camp, shave their heads, and they lost their ability to track. So then the Army caught on. They're like, okay, we're going to put two trackers together. One, we shave their head. The other one, we leave long. Long hair could track, short hair could not, until their hair grew back to the final length with the ends intact, which is the antenna. So what do little boys do, especially in this country and modern culture? They are circumcised as infants, and they usually get their first haircut when they're young. Girls don't as much. So you're cutting off the brand new hair with the antenna. So those two things can lead to male pattern baldness, and then we get into all of the chemicals men are infused with.
And I had never thought of it that way in terms of like hair being so important. But even if you think of the biblical story of, I think it's Samson?
Samson, yeah.
He loses, he gets a haircut or something and he loses his strength.
His, was it his wife or girlfriend? I don't know the exact story. But she cuts his hair so he loses power.
Sorry, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Delilah arranged for his hair to be shaved while he slept, leading to the loss of his strength.
Yes. And there's all sorts of stories. Genghis Khan, when he conquered China, had the women cut their bangs to cover the forehead, which is where we receive a lot of energy and activation for the pineal gland, because the bone is very porous. So he covered that area, which is, if you look at the modern Hollywood and movie stars, everything they do is to remove strength from the hair. And the number one way to remove strength is washing it. So you're washing off the sebum, which is the coating, which allows the electromagnetic forces to run through the body. Without it, you can't. Same on the inside. So your nerve endings and everything else is coated with myelination.
So your argument about it being antenna, because that obviously sounds crazy when you say it like that, but basically it's the connection with nature.
So I see it a direct extension of our nervous system, our nerve endings, our spinal column. Everything that's coming up through the spinal column now comes outside. So that's our ability to observe the world around us. And proprioception is coming through your antenna, everything that it's sort of the sixth sense that they call it, goes through this wireless antenna that we have on the outside of our heads. And men, of course, cut their hair more than women.
Yes. But sorry, I interrupted you, but just to feed into what you're saying, I was just thinking, now you mentioned Hollywood, and I was thinking of that, what's that movie called with all the blue aliens on another planet?
That's
the famous
exactly
one. What's
right. It's the Avatar.
What's it called? Avatar. And they make those connections with the hair.
That's exactly what it is. And so it's this feedback. And of course we would have that as wild humans, but everything that they tell us in modern world is to strip. So everyone is supposed to wash their hair, sometimes twice, to get that squeaky feeling. When you have the squeak, all of the sebum has been stripped from the hair. So all of the electromagnetic flow is gone.
But don't women also use the same sort of products as men, if not more so, and yet we don't see as much balding?
You'll see more balding in women that use all of the hair dyes. If they get it cut more, you will see the female pattern baldness, but women cover it up more than men. So either women will wear wigs or hats, or you'll never know that they're balding. But you're seeing it more and more. The more women have short haircuts and are doing the similar things that men are doing. Okay,
so you dropped in circumcision, but you didn't really chat much about that. Just elaborate a bit on that.
Okay, so and no one else has made this connection. So this is just what I have observed. And if you look at the whole spinal column, the roots are in the first chakra. So that's everything that goes into the coccyx and spread out. If you cut the roots of anything, eventually the part of that tree is going to start to die back. And that's what I had thought of. What if we're cutting off the roots of these little boys, and then when the hair actually starts to grow, we cut off the tips of the antenna. So you're creating a perfect storm. And when we look at, just for example, the Sikhs, whether they live in this country or not, doesn't matter. They still have long hair without the pattern baldness. Now, of course, we have to add in all of the electromagnetic radiation. So we've cut the root from the male circumcision, which is exactly, the tip of the penis has some of the most nerve endings of anywhere on the body. Cut that, you're severing a big part of the root system. Now it comes up, out, and you're severing the end of the antenna. So that is shown. Like if you cut the ends of your hair, you're cutting the antenna, and it takes a while to grow back. Every person's hair is a certain length.
Yes, but now it makes me wonder about the length of hair. I mean, does that matter?
I think it matters, because if you're always cutting it, you're always cutting off the tips. So you're never allowing, your hair has a certain length. It might be shoulder length, it might be down to your back. You would never know until you just let it all grow out. And then once it hits its end, it forms the antenna on the end of the hair.
But now the reason why people cut, or they go for a trim or whatever is because it starts splitting and it doesn't look very nice.
So that's what they tell you. That's what they tell you. This is to avoid split ends. If you don't trim your hair, you'll get the split ends. You get the split ends because you're washing away the electromagnetic coating, the sebum. So if you wore away the myelin inside the nervous system, you start getting tremors because the electricity cannot flow through something that doesn't have a fatty coating on it. Just like if I stripped away the plastic off the Romex wiring in my house. It's going to short circuit. It's going to frazzle and my lights aren't going to turn on. Similar with the body. If I've interrupted the myelination on the outside, what they call sebum, same thing, the same thing. I don't have the electrical signal being able to pass through into the top of my nervous system.
Well, I mean, that then feeds into what you're saying about the shampoos and the conditioners and all the products that men and women use. But your article is more specifically about men.
It's the third one was about men. I have two other articles where I kind of go into what's happening. So it's a perfect setup if you want to make people slowly ill and cut them from their pineal gland and their intuition. So I strip everything away with soaps. I no longer have a coating on my scalp. Now, any chemical, and all those shampoos and conditioners have chemicals. I don't care how healthy they say it is. If it's a soap, it's stripping away the sebum. And then all those chemicals can now go in direct.
So what does that mean then for washing your hair?
I don't wash my hair. I haven't washed my hair in a good 2 years. I use baking soda, and I'll use a vinegar rinse.
For 2 years now, your hair looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I haven't done the baking soda in, well, let's see, maybe 10 days. So I'll do it every 10 days to 2 weeks.
It does make sense that all the shampoos and conditioners are not actually that good for you because it goes beyond hair. It goes into your skin also. It
goes into your skin. And so what they're after, and what I teach in my 11-week course is you can't strip away your body's defense systems. And your sebum on your skin and on your hair works as a one-way valve. So if it's intact, it's not going to be absorbing in the chemicals that we're infused with every day, through the tap water, through everything else. If you're taking a hot shower and you're scrubbing your skin and you're using soap, you're going to be stripping the sebum layer off your skin. So whatever's in that tap water, and I don't care if you have a little lasagna filter on your shower, it's not taking out anything. Maybe a tiny amount of chlorine or maybe a tiny amount of this, but it's not taking out all of the drugs people are taking that's going into the water. It's not taking out the small particles. So if you've stripped away that, now it's going directly into the skin.
You're talking about hair on your head, but I suppose it obviously connects to, my beard and that sort of thing.
Right. So for men too, the beard is their strength. You have the antenna on the beard. You have that sixth sense. I mean, Native Americans didn't really have big, thick beards, but in the article I mentioned, the Vikings did. That was their source of strength and power, and they would never cut their beard.
Women tend to prefer men with beards because it tends to promote masculinity also, and that's that part of that connection.
More testosterone, yes.
Does this apply to women shaving their legs?
I know, and I looked into that. And armpits.
Yes.
And there's some women that have like a lot of hair on their arms. It's the same. It all has a purpose. It is little mini
That's all by
antennas.
design.
Mm-hmm. But knowing all of this and doing the article, I still shave my legs. Women in Australia don't necessarily, though.
I do not want my wife with hairy legs.
Yeah. I felt like if I'm not washing my hair and I'm not washing the sebum off my skin, I can take a hit with not having hair on my legs.
We can make a few concessions here and there.
Yes. Yes, we can. And we can make some personal preferences.
A lot of this, you argue, is part of an agenda. It's social engineering. It's by design.
I think it is. I think when I look at what I call the playbook, everything they recommend for us to do diminishes our power. So my question a decade or so ago was, what am I capable of if I'm not poisoned in any way, including my mind is being poisoned and manipulated and brainwashed? And I never thought I'd be sitting here talking to you saying I don't wash my hair. I haven't washed my hair in 2 years, ever. I didn't want to be the dirty hippie, but I realized it's the manipulation from the time I was little. I remember commercials of the pretty sexy ladies washing their hair. Gee, your hair smells terrific. Like, all of us wanted that. I begged my mom to get that shampoo so my hair would smell like the girl that I saw on TV. So I think, why was I so programmed to want to wash my hair? Well, because it's my power. It's my intuition. You can't convince me of all of these ridiculous things because I'm functioning in logic. When all your barriers are stripped away, you're very easy to program. You're very easy to manipulate. I call it the human murmuration. It's like a big flock of birds just flipping because of what we're seeing on these scrying mirrors telling us what to do.
I was going to say, look, so I haven't used any shampoo or conditioner or any hair products on my hair for a few years now. I just use my soap that I have, just my standard old soap.
Right.
And I understand that you're making the argument that even that is toxic, but it was part of my thinking process from around 2020. So COVID, the whole COVID era, I think for many, many people kind of forced them to rethink what they thought they knew about everything. So I stopped using sunscreen. For the most part, I don't wear sunglasses unless there's just too much glare. And then I decided to give this no shampoo, no conditioner thing a go. And my hair is perfectly healthy. But what you made the suggestion of a couple other things that you use, if not soap. What just say them again. What was it that you're using?
So baking soda diluted in water. And then you can just pour that over and rinse it out if it's feeling grimy. Or you can do the baking soda and then pour the vinegar over the baking soda and it'll kind of fizz up and it will really help to remove the grime, but your hair doesn't have that squeak, so the sebum has remained. So that's what we're after. We're after cleaning the hair, looking good, smelling fresh, but not stripping away your defense mechanisms or the ability to read the surroundings.
Yeah, and I mean, if you just think about it for more than 10 seconds, I mean, soap and all these products, they're all a relatively new addition to humanity. What were people doing for thousands of years?
Right. And they were healthy for thousands of years. So we can look at their jaws and their teeth and everything else and look at wild animals. They're not succumbing to bacteria and germs and parasites and everything else. It's us that are succumbing to these issues. And why?
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. I mean, more people, I think, than ever before use toothpaste. And there are so many issues with teeth.
Because it puts holes in your teeth. So you have the biofilm, and I see naturopaths and homeopaths telling people to take a biocide to kill the biofilm. The biofilm is like your mycelium network that's under the soil that the trees and the bushes and the plants are communicating through. We have the biofilm in our mouth. We have it running through the body. So it's a bacterial network that's communicating about our body only to stay in homeostasis. It's not communicating to make us sick. So when you remove that, you're removing the teeth's protective layer. You're stripping away the mucosal membranes. So year after year after year of doing that, you're going to get holes in your teeth. And what do? They take the radiation and they take x-rays right at your mouth. And that's going to put cavities. That's going to harm your roots. What do they tell you to do when you harm your roots are sore? Put clove oil on it. Clove oil damages the roots.
Yeah, or get a filling or get a root canal.
Exactly. And what is that? It's a eggshell. So eventually the tooth is going to break. So you have a mouthful of false teeth. There's these fat cats are sitting around in the room and they're pissed if anyone over the age of 50 is walking around with their own joints, their own teeth, their own lenses in their eye. They want all of us to be as profitable inside the medical industrial complex as possible. And they know cradle to grave what we're worth.
And I mean, in your Substack article, you also point out fluoride, and that's a big issue with water. And people drink a lot of tap water, which contains fluoride. Although, like for example, in our house, all our water, everything, taps, showers, everything is filtered. But the average household is not.
Right. And even the filters, we have to look at. I get 5-gallon glass carboys. I go up to the mountain and I fill it from a spring.
That is delicious water.
That is living water. I can't replicate that ever. And I can't replicate it with a filter and then putting some man-made minerals that they tell you are what you need, because I certainly don't think that's the case. And so you're not getting any of the hydration that you need from living water. And your body has to compensate. So if you're drinking a lot of filtered water or anything else, who knows what it's actually filtered? We have these little sticks that tell you parts per billion. Well, that's just a big particulate. So I can filter out big particulates and tell you, look, it's healthy, when could be absolutely the opposite. And I look around in my country, people are sick and they're very, very overweight. So something's got to give.
Yes, and also, of course, we know that vaccines are no good and they contain all sorts of bad things, which you argue can also lead to balding.
100%. So, and all of those are going into the wastewater systems of cities. So if you're drinking tap water, who knows what part of that vaccine is getting flushed out of those, half the population into the wastewater. And what are you drinking? All of the prescription drugs. But yes, any chemical is going to interrupt and interfere with the body's natural mechanisms. So the amount of balding, and that is it's a huge industry. And once you have an industry worth billions, you're never going to see any information on how to protect the hair. You're only going to see info on minoxidil and Rogaine and all of these drugs that, a lot of influencers are promoting, because it's just a couple $1,000s in the bank for them just to say, here's a coupon for minoxidil, or here's a hair regrowth treatment protocol. But those are black box warning drugs. So yeah, it might grow a few sprigs of hair, but when you stop using it because your kidneys shut down, your hair goes back to being bald.
Yeah, I mean, something I'm asking this not because I think you might know the answer, but it's a rhetorical question that I've thought about over the years. But why do we have hair? Why do we grow hair? Mm-hmm. And often in very weird places. It does make sense that it serves one or multiple functions. You say that its primary function is to be antenna. Mm-hmm. And then you would conclude that things like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and other wireless technology can interfere with that mm-hmm. antenna.
I would say exactly that. And I wouldn't say we have to get freaked out about it. I see eagles building nests on Wi-Fi towers and herons building nests, but it's more of it's an interference. And when we don't have our protective mechanisms, so we don't have the fatty coating, then I think we're more prone to influence. And I think anyone can do the experiment and has seen that just by thinking about something, you get advertised to it on the computers. How are they doing that?
Yes, and I think it's important to emphasize that if I'm following you correctly, all of these are vectors towards hair loss, right? It doesn't mean that if you're circumcised, you're going to lose your hair. But if you are circumcised and you use shampoo and you use conditioner and you shave your head and
Yep.
you're increasing
Right.
that risk factor.
Right. And then you look at, let's say, firefighters in your area that use those big radios. Their heads are fried. Look at them. They all look the same. They all look like they had radiation sickness. That's and they eat the late night take and bake pizzas, and they drink the sodas, and they drink the coffee, so it's never a one thing. It's never a taproot like, oh, you got circumcised and you got a haircut when you were early, you're going to be bald. It's all of it combined, and the area that you go bald is what you'll get from, your dad. That's where it will go bald, whether it's, receding back this way or it's bald on the crown. So people will say, oh, it's just genetics. I'm going to go bald because my dad went bald. No, that's just because you guys have the same pattern.
A lot of these variables that are being included here are not good. And it's a better idea to try and remove them bit by bit, subtract them from your life.
Exactly. And if you don't think any of this is valid, look at the mainstream research will point out that pubic hair signals pheromones. When you strip all the pubic hair, you're not signaling to a potential mate. Well, you don't need pubic hair to send out pheromones. Something else is happening. Something else is happening with that antenna through signaling. What is it signaling? I mean, you're signaling that you're available, that how can I say this? You're able to have a baby. So you're in, what would we call that? There's a word that's escaping me. You're, like you haven't hit menopause, you're mature enough to be able to have a baby, you're ovulating, you're blank.
I know the word you're looking for. I've also gone
Yeah.
blank. This is all actually important because it's not just about losing hair.
Right. That's the thing where I think most people are like, oh, it's a moneymaker, and take some Rogaine, who cares? We gotta all die of something. But it's not that. And after I stopped washing my hair, I thought, this is stupid. It was an experiment. I'm just gonna wash my hair. I washed it and I kept bumping into everything. Just silly things and near misses when I'm driving my truck around. I'm thinking, what is going on? And I think it was I had removed the coating. I had removed my proprioception. Something else was going on. I had just removed my sense of where my body was in space. So fear and anger are the number one disruptors of homeostasis, worse than any chemical you could consume. I would say even more than alcohol and caffeine. Caffeine is the number one way that you can inhibit hair growth, because caffeine itself stimulates adrenaline, cortisol, all of those cascade of chemicals that are released, and your body has to clean it all up. So it inhibits fibrin, elastin, collagen production. So, not just the chemicals that are causing hair loss, but then we have to also look at what's inhibiting hair growth.
And I mean, you can see the effects of stress.
So all of those chemicals are flooding in. And why? Why would the hair be something that would respond if it's just dead, lifeless? How could it go gray in a few days? What is happening with an antenna? So the body has to pull in all resources. The hypotheses are amazing to think like what is going on and what is contributing that I have so much energy in my hair that it could all of a sudden disappear in a few days. And you see that.
If I look at, let's say, native Africans, Bushmen, whatever, people who are more rural, and I compare them to people who live in the mega cities, it's very rare that you see rural old people bald.
Right.
Men, I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And they haven't touched, I guarantee you, they haven't had routine haircuts. They aren't exposed to the same poisons unless they go in and poison the wells, which they, love to do. But if they haven't received the same poisons and the electromagnetic frequencies that we have, I think that plays into it quite a bit. And then you take in account all the vitamins and supplements. I'm looking into iodine. Iodine creates a radioactive isotope within the body when you take iodine. So all of these things that we're told to take for health and wellness will do the opposite. If you keep your one-way valves intact, you keep your sebum intact, you're not stripping away your body's defense mechanism, you're not washing your teeth with soap of any kind. I don't care how healthy your toothpaste is. If it has a foam and it's sudsing, it's soap and it's destroying your mouth. If you don't destroy your mucosal layers inside the body, no alcohol tinctures, you can weather any storm. You could build a house on an EMF tower and you'd be fine. It's when, maybe not that extreme, but you can weather the chemical storms. You could weather a, occasional restaurant meal and all of these things if you have your biofilm, your sebum, all of these fatty layers intact. That's your body's way of staying safe from its potential harms in the environment.
If you think about brushing your teeth, I'm just wondering now, like, where did it start? At some point, somebody must have thought, well, let's create a toothpaste. And I kind of know the history. It wasn't very appealing. It didn't have that fresh kind of feel. And then they decided as a marketing trick to make it foam and get that peppermint kind of thing going.
Right.
But for thousands of years, what were people doing? They didn't think about brushing their teeth. They just wanted to get food out of their, that was stuck between the teeth or whatever, because they didn't need to, because their teeth were healthy.
Right. And that's where you have to create these industries where you have lack or deficit. Like, you don't want to be that one person, that one human in your tribe that has bad breath and everyone else has shiny, gleaming teeth. You've got to step in line to protect your connection to the tribe. So that's how they get you this fear and lack that, if you don't brush your teeth, you're going to lose them.
No, but brushing your teeth doesn't make your teeth white. Animals have white teeth forevermore.
It's all the story. So they have to get into the fear-based limbic system of fear and lack. And that's what they work on, belief. So you and I see in our observable reality all the wild animals. I go out hiking every single day and I'll find jaws and I will try to break those teeth with a rock and I can't. But we eat a piece of corn and we break our teeth and shatter it into a million pieces. Why?
Yes, I've also wondered that.
Yeah, because we've eroded our protective mechanisms for decades. And they know it. So if we started using toothpaste and 3 days later I broke a tooth, I'd think, hey, wait a minute, guys. You're not going to get me on this one. But it's not until we get to the dentist that year, like you have. I just had a client that had 15 cavities in one dental visit. Hadn't had any the year before. And I said, what was going on in that year that gave you those 15 cavities? It was his whole house filters had phosphates.
Now, I know that you've been to the Kruger National Park. You were telling me before we recorded, it's one of my favorite places to go to. If you drive around that park and you look at just about any animal and you look at their teeth, generally speaking, their teeth are pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Other than like a broken one here and there. But the point is that they don't use toothpaste and they don't go to the dentist.
Exactly. And they don't get radiation aimed at their now vulnerable mouth with the idea of like, we're going to find the cavities. You put the cavities in there, like mammograms cause breast cancer. Sorry, they do. X-rays cause cavities and damage to the roots. And I cannot find a dentist anywhere that will allow me not to get X-rays. They force you to get the X-rays. You can't get your teeth cleaned unless they get X-rays. So I am now cleaning my teeth myself. I don't recommend anyone does that. This is not medical advice. I'm just saying, for me, I mean, I call it, I was mouth raped by the dental industry. And everything they tell you that they're doing is to save your mouth. No, it isn't. It's to get you prepared to have a mouthful of fake teeth.
Yeah, with mercury in it.
Exactly. And the mercury and everything, all the metals that go in your head help you connect, you become part of the grid, the smart city. Now you're linked up to it. Same with your LED lights and everything else.
The other thing, though, Robin, is that nobody likes that morning dragon breath.
Mm-hmm. But I would say, and I would make a case for this, and there's three things that I want to say. One, if you're in homeostasis, you don't have bad breath. You don't have morning breath. You don't have a carpet on your tongue that you need to scrape off. And I would say scraping your tongue is one of the worst things that you can do. So, but if you do have odor in your mouth, where is that coming from? Have you been eroding your sensitive biofilm with a biocide? Are you drinking alcohol? Are you taking tinctures, which are alcohol based? That will destroy the linings. Are you taking any type of industrial waste solvent like turpentine, DMSO? That will strip away your natural mechanism. So then your bacteria, as we know, is pleomorphic. You can't kill bacteria. It'll just change shape until the environment changes. Well, now you have a problem. Now you have odor because your bacteria is out of balance. Now you'll have yeast growing because your bacteria is out of balance. And then you eat the chemical-laden foods. And now we're out of homeostasis.
In other words, if you can go back to as close as possible to how your default configuration should be, then you won't find these things. Like your armpits won't stink either, for example.
Exactly. And if they do, then you think, what was I consuming that's creating the odor? Oh, this was what it was. Stop doing that. You know, people that are supposedly awake and healthy go to Starbucks and get coffee and bioengineered food. Well, that bioengineered food is the same as consuming a chemical made in a lab, because that's basically what it is. Your body doesn't know what it is. It has to excrete it as waste. So, you know, there's always a reason that you have these odors. There's always a reason that you're out of alignment.
Many, many things can lead to balding, hair loss, even bad diet.
I would say even brushing your teeth with regular toothpaste. And I mean healthy toothpaste like Hello and Beaver. And I don't care if they put charcoal in it. It doesn't make it healthy. It's stripping away the roots, and every tooth is like its own personal organ. And so when I make my own toothpaste, my son had been using it. Now it's been about, for him, 3 to 4 years, you know, with going to his dad and using regular toothpaste here and there. And he told me that he tried to eat a bag of candy that he normally eats, and his teeth wouldn't chew it. He had to spit it out. He said, I think my teeth are now awake. They're like communicating what's poison.
And I mean, because they're alive anyway.
They're alive, and each one has nerves that connect to different parts of the body. Each tooth individually is connected to different sections of the body and organs of the body, and communicating. They're communicating back and forth, and that's what we call homeostasis. So you can't say the dentist knows about the mouth because it doesn't know about the body. So it doesn't know about anything. The neurosurgeon doesn't know anything about the body or the brain because it only sees it as a separate compartmentalized approach to the body. The body works in synergy. And so we will never know or understand how the body works, ever, period, the end.
Something that I learned in the last few years, for example, is if you go to the gym, or doesn't matter if you go to the gym, if you're doing something that's active, one joint is not doing all the work. Your entire body is helping
Right.
that joint do the work,
Right.
and the muscle, etc., etc.
Right.
Everything's connected.
That's it. Yeah. And you can even prove that to yourself. You do like a back raise, like feel every part of your body. Every part of your body is engaged, including your hair, including the proprioception around you, and monitoring other people at the gym and feeling their energy, and being around men that have higher testosterone. They've proven that men testosterone levels will raise. Everything is a fluid document.
But they want to reduce testosterone in men.
Of course they do. Because then, and look at why we have wars. We send our best and brightest men, 18
To die.
to die, to cull the herd. And the men that are left, we're going to infuse the population with estrogen and estrogen producing chemicals.
And we're going to tell them that they can be women and confuse them and all sorts of other stuff.
And all sorts of other things, and they're toxic masculine, and we've beat them down so far that most men are afraid to even be a man.
So then, Robin, what is the moral of the story here?
To not interfere with the body. Because interfere means we enter into a state of fear, which is where the corporations work. So they work on our belief. The word lie is in the word belief. So they can get us to believe toothpaste is good. They can get us to believe washing all of the natural mechanisms off our body is positive. So that's, once we stop believing anything they say, we start turning back into, what do I think? Does this make sense to me? Is this in alignment with what I know to be true? Then the spell is broken. You're not going to go to the medical industrial complex and give them your blood for them to cast spells on. You're going to stay in harmony with your body, and you're going to listen. It's like the Avatar where they connect their antenna. You're going to listen to your body signals and act on those signals.
Just on a personal level, though, do you prefer men with beards?
I've been programmed by Disney movies and Hollywood movies and soap operas. So it's a jump. I like visually looking at them, but it's hard to.
Because my wife, she moans if I've got too much hair on my face.
Yeah.
She just doesn't want to kiss me or anything like that because it's just uncomfortable.
So it's that part of it. I think, after a certain phase and the beard gets nice and soft when it's growing out, it's like razors. It's difficult.
And then starts the cycle again. So men with beards, and they start using beard oils and beard conditioners, etc.
Yes. Then it's nice. Then I've seen some really nice beards.
But those are chemicals, though.
If you just use beard oils that are, and I have in my book recipes. So you just infuse raw sesame oil with frankincense, not buying essential oils. Most of those are synthetic, but infusing them with whatever you want. Then you have like a nice scented oil that you made yourself, and you know exactly where it came from. But yeah, you don't need anything to soften it besides oil.
What were men doing thousands of years ago? What were the Vikings doing 1,000 years ago? They must have been doing something.
Yeah. And they were strong and protective and, in their full synergy. And that's what I think what we're talking about this whole time is how we have in the modern world been convinced to disrupt our synergy so that we're not functioning as a whole. We're functioning compartmentalized. We're cut off from, half to 90% of our potential by stripping away everything that keeps us in that synergy. Especially like you said, you don't wear sunglasses anymore. You don't wear sunscreen because that's a number one way we energize our body. That's a number one way we keep our eyes set without needing, surgery.
Well, the sunscreen thing, I don't have any evidence to back up what I'm saying, but I remember I had a conversation some years ago with a woman by the name of Stephanie Seneff, who is from MIT, and she just in passing in the recording said, no, she stopped using sunscreen and stopped wearing sunglasses because why do you assume the sun is your enemy? Mm-hmm. And why are you putting chemicals on your skin so that your body absorbs them? What are you doing?
Right.
And you don't think about that until you do.
Until you realize, and you're radiating the chemicals on your skin. So you look at women my age, they look decades older than their husband. Why? Because they've been putting makeup, which is chemicals, on their skin. Usually it contains a type of sunscreen, and they're radiating it every time they go outside with the sun. But I think there's one other thing that we're missing is how much energy we receive directly from the sun. I had eye problems. I had to wear glasses when I was 26. I couldn't see at night until I was wearing my glasses. Then I started needing reading glasses. And then I threw them all away. And I just started doing my sun gazing and, a few other eye exercises. And almost 57, my eyes are fine. I don't need readers. My eyes are clear. If they get tired, I'll stare directly at the sun for a few seconds, including the middle of the day. And it takes away the clouds. Not recommending that. Not recommending that. It's not medical advice. But, the proof is in the pudding.
You wear your glasses less often now.
I don't wear them at all. I have perfect vision. And I don't... The number one... I'll say two things that I think were the most beneficial. One, I started doing things in the dark. Just, my regular activities, but doing it in the dark. And I stopped wearing sunglasses. And I was wearing sunglasses 24/7. Like anytime I'd go outside, because my eyes are a lighter green. And so anytime I'd hit the sun, it was like, I can't wear them. And I read like, because you have light colored eyes, you need to wear sun protection. It was the opposite.
This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but while you were talking now about doing things in the dark, since having a child, we've been going to bed earlier and waking up earlier. I feel so much better.
That's why I say, no matter what, look to Mother Nature as the blueprint.
Yeah.
You don't see, animals that aren't nocturnal staying up all night or staying up late, staring at screens. And we have the incandescent bulbs and we have the LED bulbs and we have all of that, so it's amazing we have our eyesight. It's a miracle how healthy we actually are, despite the onslaughts.
How can my audience follow your work, your Substack, I suppose?
Yeah, head over to Substack. I'm starting a shadow banned library because I'm so tired of my work getting removed and everything I put into it. And on my podcast, I did a podcast with Daycon in 2020 that just recently was removed from good old YouTube. So yeah, you can go to Shadow Banned Library, BANNED.com. That has all of everything I've written that you can download now, and Agent 131711, all of his work, and we're getting other authors on there. Reframing the Narrative has some podcasts, Janice Barcelo. So that's the best way to preserve it because it will disappear soon. You know that.
Yeah, so your Substack is medicinegirl.substack.com.
Yeah,
is that
just
correct?
Medicine Girl on Substack.